This is video number 8 of 9, actually video 8 of 10 for the dual enrollment theory entrance exam. Every video so far has been dealing with the pitch sections of the entrance exam, which makes up the vast majority. The final two sections of the exam have to do with rhythm, specifically time signatures and how they manifest themselves in Western theory. So first, let's just do a quick introduction to what time signatures are. Of course, time signatures are those fraction-looking things that happen at the beginning of any staff system, or at the beginning of a piece, made up of two different numbers. The top number would tell you how many beats per measure, and the bottom number tells you what type of note gets the beat. That top number is always easy to explain to every music student. If there's a 3 on top, typically that means that 3 beats per measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The bottom number is a little bit more difficult to explain. In fact, I don't think we as musicians gain a true understanding of it until we've performed different time signatures for a long period of time. That's why, if you remember, the majority of pieces that you had when you were, first coming up in your beginning orchestras or bands were all in 4/4, and you weren't able to move on to 3/4 or 2/4 until you kind of had experienced what 4/4 felt like. But basically, what we mean by the note per beat is that if you think of this as a denominator of a fraction, it corresponds to one of the common types of notes that we have. The common types of rhythmic durations that we have are going to be whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, eighth note, I do know how to do that, eighth note, and 16th note, such that if a 4 is on the bottom, it corresponds to a quarter note, just like 1/4 is a quarter. If a 2 is on the bottom, it would correspond to half note. If a 1 is on the bottom, it would correspond to whole note. If an 8 is on the bottom, it would correspond to eighth note. And if a 16th was on the bottom, it would correspond to 16th note. So if you had 4/16, it would mean there are 4 beats per measure, and the 16th note would get the beat. So if I were doing 1, 2, 3, 4, then that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might think, wait, 16th notes are supposed to be fast. Most of the time, yeah. But I mean, as you can see in this case, of 4/16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the bottom number tells you is what type of note gets the toe tap, what type of note gets the beat. If we're talking about 9/8, that would be 9 beats per measure, and the eighth note would get the beat. Typically in 9/8, it goes pretty quickly, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, such that each one of those is an eighth note. Okay, there would be an example of a 9/8 measure. Okay, if we were looking at 5/2, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the half note would be the note that gets the beat. From there, you just play with the duration of these notes, and that's where you get rhythms. If I wanted to divide that second one into half, it'd be 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. If I wanted to divide that one into 4, it would be 1, 2, and 3, 4, E, and 5. Now notice that these are 8th notes, not 16th notes, right? But because, there we go. Because the half note gets the beat, these eighth notes get 1/4 of the beat, because 4 eighth notes fit inside 1 half note. So again, that bottom number is always the most confusing one, but think of it only in the fact that it tells you what type of note gets the beat, all right? The top number is how many beats per measure. The bottom one, what type of note gets the beat, all right? Now, there are 2 different ways that you have to be able to show your knowledge of time signatures. Actually, 3 different ways. We're going to go over 2 of them this time. Three different ways that you have to show your knowledge of time signatures. The first way is that you are given musical examples with bar lines, and you have to tell us what would be the most likely time signature. So let's look at a few examples here. It'll take me a hot minute to be able to get this to where we can see it. So here's an example. You see it has bar lines. It has lots of different notes, but there is no key signature. You will be asked to write a key signature for this example. All right? How do you go about it? Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can either look at the quickest duration of notes or look at the slowest duration of notes. Your best bet would probably be to do both. Here's what I mean. The quickest duration of notes right now would be this measure, because there are 6 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 16th notes inside that measure. Or you could look at the slowest duration of notes, which is this measure or this measure. All right. If I were looking at the next to the last measure, let me get to my smallest setting there. If I were to look at this next to the last measure, then there are 3 eighth notes worth of time in there. 1 eighth note, 2 eighth notes, 3 eighth notes. Okay. Now, if I were just to look at that measure, I would call it 3 beats, and the eighth note gets the beat. If I were to look at this one right here, well, this is the quarter note followed by an eighth note. We know that 2 eighth notes fit into 1 quarter note. So really that's just, 2 eighth notes tied together. So that one I could also call 3/8. If I were just looking at the first measure, I might call it 6 16ths. You would be counted correct if you were to say that the time signature to this one was 6/16 or 3/8. Okay? Does that make sense what I just did there? I looked at the measure that had the quickest duration or the measure that had the fastest duration. Now, if you've grown up playing in band or orchestra, then you probably know that 3/8 is a more common key time signature than 6/16. And so you're probably going to say, yeah, the better answer is 3/8. And I would agree with you on that. But many of us, if you've been just playing piano or singing, you haven't spent as much time in either 3/8 or 6/16. And remember what I said earlier, I don't think we gain a true understanding of time signatures until we've lived with those time signatures for quite some time. And so if you were to put 6/16 or 3/8, I think you'd be good to go. All right. For the most part, I think if you can reduce the fraction, you should. So instead of 6/16, calling it 3/8, I think you'd be in better graces to do that. So again, I looked at the fastest duration and I looked at the slowest duration. I counted how many of those types of notes were in that measure, and that basically gives it to me. In this measure, there's 1, 2, 3 eighth notes. Therefore, I came up with 3/8. Okay. On this one here, 6 16ths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But basically, that's 1, 2, 3 eighth notes worth of stuff, right? So I think 3/8 is the better answer, but 6 16ths could work as well. All right, let's do another one. All right, let's take a look at this one. And where is the fastest duration of notes that I see? Probably would have to be this measure right here, right? Because you have 4 16ths in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4 16ths there, right? All right, so let's look just at this measure. I have 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes. I have 4 16ths, but those all fit into 1 quarter note, right? I have 2 eighths, but those fit in 1 quarter notes. So right now I see 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes. 4, 4. In this last measure, that would be my slowest duration, 3 straight quarter notes. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes, 4, 4. All right. Now just to go through and check it, it'd be sh, ta di mi ta di. If you do the band or the McDose tibs, it'd be 1, 2 and 3 and a 4 and. That fits into 4/4, doesn't it? 1, 2, 4 and 2 and 3 and. Or if you're doing the choir takadimi, ta, tu, ta, di, ta, di, ta, di, di. All of that fits into 4/4. So again, do you see how you have to look at the measures and basically determine what is the largest or the most reduced, what is the largest denominator that I see, and how many of those are in each measure. This last measure is like the easiest one to see. 4 straight quarter notes in there, 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets the beat. Take a look at this last one here. Tell me what you think this one might be. What key signature might this one be? All right. When I look at the fastest, it would probably be this one. Ta, di, mi, ta, ta, or 1 and a 2, 3. Maybe I could look at this one, 1 and 2, 3, or sh, 2, 3. So right now, I definitely think the top number is going to be 3. What is the bottom number going to be? Well, 1 and 2/8 notes become a quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, 2 quarter notes inside that half note. So right now the quarter note's getting the beat. The time signature to this one would be 3/4. All right. You will have 3 or 4 examples that are very similar to the ones that you just saw, where you are given an excerpt with no time signature, and you have to write what time signature is there. All right. I think you can probably get that one, right? Now, the other thing that you might have to do is you're given one with time signatures. Let's see if I can find it here. Hold on. You're given one with time signature, but there are no bar lines, and you have to draw the bar lines. All right. This one I think is a little bit easier to deal with, because basically, if you're given 9/8, that means 9 beats per measure, and the 8th note gets the beat. That means there should be 9 eighth notes in one measure. So when I look at this, I see 2 16th notes make 1/8 note, 2 16th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See what I did there? If there's 9 beats per measure and the 8th note gets the beat, that means there should be 9 eighth notes worth of time in that measure. So I would put my measure number after that. There are 3 eighth notes inside this quarter note. 1, 2, 3. 2 inside this quarter note. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And always end with a double bar. So you see on this one, you're given the time signature and you're asked to write in the measure numbers. Does that make sense? And basically, I think this one's easier because you're given the number of beats and the type of note that gets it. So you just have to make sure there are that many of that notes in each measure, then draw your bar line. Let's look for another one. I know I put it on the little whiteboard here. It's just going to take me a hot minute to find it. Oh, there it is. On this one, 2, 4. That means you need to find 2 quarter notes in each beat. In each measure. 4 16th notes make up one. 2 8th notes make up the next. 1, 2. This is a little tricky. 1, 2, because this one fits out to be a beat and a half, right? Plus a half beat equals 2. Let me show you that one again. That dotted quarter note is a beat and a half. That eighth note is a half a beat. And so together, beat and a half plus 2 equals 2 beats. That's a little tricky there with that syncopation. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a little weird. Bar line over a tie, but it certainly exists. 1, 2, 1, 2. End with your double bar. Okay, let's do one on your own here, everyone. Is it the same one I just did? Huh. All right, let me see if I can find the other one. Hold on a second. Here, try to do this one on your own. Let's see if I can't. It'll take me a hot second. Let me put it on my whiteboard here, everyone. Hold on a second. All right, try to do that one, please, everyone. Push pause and draw in the bar lines. Here's what I come up with. And that's it. There should be 12 eighth notes worth of material in each measure. 1 eighth note, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bar line, double bar line. All right. So in order to be able to do this, you have to know your durations and you have to know what the numbers mean. But for 2 out of the 3 ways that you have to be able to show your knowledge of time signatures, one is to be given a time signature and you have to write in the bar lines. The other would be to be given bar lines and you write in the key signature. All right. Now, again, I'm going to give you a few sample exams that you'll be able to do for practice. But hopefully this video kind of gives you an introduction to reminding you what time signatures mean, but mostly letting you know how you have to show that knowledge on the entrance exam.